duty of the free man to resist tyranny at every turn. Every man will either watch his freedom stripped away or take action to protect what he loves. Introducing the A3, the newest revolutionary body armor from Armored Republic. The A3 is the new standard for lightweight multi-hit body armor. A3 plates are incredibly light at 4.6 pounds. The patented design captures fragmentation while remaining multi-hit capable. The A3 will stop up to M80 ball, yet comes in at only 0.7 inches thick. The A3 is the thinnest NIJ.06 compliant or certified composite standalone plate that includes the drop test. The A3 is the first of its kind, patent pending, that combines an alloy strike face with polyethylene backing, revolutionizing body armor technology by providing strength and durability while remaining sleek and maneuverable. The A3 is the new standard in lightweight body armor. The fight against tyranny just got stronger.
What happens when Kanye West, the Jews, and Biden walk into a bank?
We get canceled.
One of them's getting canceled. I don't know what happens, but one of them's walking out canceled. That's
I don't
all.
think you can say Kanye West and Jews together.
At least not right now.
Banks too. Ooh.
I know. No, and Biden. I mean, it's all. It's a messy joke. I get it. Hey, y'all, welcome to CrossPolitic. I believe it's Thursday evening. Thank you for joining us. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox. I'm the water boy.
Salt and Strings Butchery. I'm going with butchery. Salt and Strings Butchery is a Christian-owned family small business.
Ooh, look at that meat. Ooh, look at that. You see that tomahawk there?
Oh, my goodness. I'm not going to read the rest of the ad now.
Wait a second.
Quinn.
Let me just go ahead. You good?
Another tomahawk. Yeah. Look at that.
Wait a second. Hey. Hey.
What?
Another tomahawk.
Stop it.
Oh.
Quinn and Samantha Bible. Is that their name, really? Quinn and Samantha Bible.
Are they related to my neighbor, Mr. Bible?
Quinn has... Stop it, Gabe. I'm trying to read an ad. Quinn has operated a retail butcher shop in Southern Illinois since 2016, is now launching an online store where you can purchase high-quality farm-to-table beef.
Wow.
Knox! Huh? Take it out. Straight to your door or right under your shirt. If you're Knox, take it out.
We see you.
It's
on camera. You're being filmed right now.
Check out their available bundles and more. And for more information, go to saltandstrings.com. Saltandstrings.com. Get frozen meaty goodness sent to your door.
That's fantastic.
Today.
They're sponsors?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Isn't that amazing?
Go buy meat.
And they have beef jerky, and they also have some other stuff, sausage or
you were trying to take the teriyaki sausages?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You put them...
It's so good.
I just,
hey, I see that tomahawk still over there.
Yeah, it's coming home with me.
Fight, laugh, feast.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm going to smoke some of this.
So, Nicholas Cruz, the Parkland shooter, the jury kind of finally came out with not the verdict, but the sentencing. Yeah. Because remember, he pled guilty already.
Right.
And so they finally came out with the sentencing.
How long has it been?
It's been about 4 years, a little over 4 years. So the kid pled guilty. And then 4 years later, they finally give him the sentencing.
You know why, don't you?
Why?
Well, because they had to make a whole bunch of money off those victims' families.
Oof.
That's right. I mean, what else would we be doing? I mean, he's got to watch a little TV and get a bunch of meat and food. And so we got to make sure we make the victims, suffer a little more.
So the jury did not give him the death penalty. And there was actually 3 jurors that voted against the death penalty. I think you need to be 100% of jurors got to vote.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. That's what I was trying to come up with. That word, unanimous.
Yep.
And so actually, Ron DeSantis had something to say about this today because of that verdict.
One thing about this verdict with the Parkland killer, I think that if you have a death penalty at all, that is a case where you're massacring those students with premeditation and utter disregard for basic humanity, that you deserve the death penalty. Apparently, it was 11-1 with one holdout refusing to authorize the ultimate punishment. They used to do this. He would have been executed in 6 months. He's guilty. Everybody knew that from the beginning, and yet it takes years and years this legal system that is not serving the interests of victims.
That's right.
So Ecclesiastes 8:11 says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
So because it's not executed speedily, more evil will occur.
And it's particularly says the heart of the sons of men is more set to do evil.
Right. And you know what? And here's a way too. It makes us want a Batman. We want someone to now put this kid to
do justice, because our government's not doing justice. We want someone to come and do justice.
They're going to put him.
So if someone sniped him, everyone would rejoice.
Everybody's going to rejoice because we're saying, hey, he should be dead because he killed people, innocent people.
And for those who want to become Batman, the next 2 verses are for them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him, but it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he fears not before God.
Ooh.
Which means
you don't get to do Batman.
God's got it.
Yeah, that's right.
God's got it. The righteous are going to be protected and blessed. The wicked are going to be brought down. Even the ones who do 100 wicked things and keep getting away with it.
Yeah.
Keep getting released back on the streets.
So Ron DeSantis, he said his 11-1 is actually 3 jurors voted against
Listen,
it.
don't you ever correct Ron DeSantis. Don't you ever correct Ron.
But here's what's interesting, okay? The jurors were handed by the prosecutor, they're handed 7 aggravating circumstances. So basically 7 reasons why he should get the
what made
be
it so
convicted
bad?
What makes it bad. And then they were handed by, as I understand it, they're handed by the defense, the jurors, mitigating factors.
Right. Things why they shouldn't give them the death penalty.
And they're supposed to weigh, according to the law that I understand in Florida, before someone gets the death penalty, they have to weigh the
mitigating versus aggravated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's the 7. I'll read through the 7. I'll skip around on the other ones, the mitigating. But the 7 aggravating circumstances. First, the first-degree murder was committed by Cruz, who was previously convicted of a felony involving the use of threat and violence. And Cruz pled guilty. He actually pled guilty to this. Cruz knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. The first-degree murder was committed while Cruz was engaged in commission of burglary. The first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. The first-degree murder was committed in a cold, calculated, premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Number 6, the first-degree murder was committed to disrupt or hinder lawful exercise of any government function or the enforcement of laws, any government function. That's a little weird.
Well, they're saying like a school. He went inside of a school. He did something he shouldn't have done at an event that he shouldn't have done.
Say church or whatever.
It's a school. It's a government.
Number 7, the victim of the capital felony was an elected or appointed public official engaged in performance of his or her duty. So there's some sort of additional penalty for killing a public official.
Yeah, no,
I can get that.
Okay, so those are the 7 that the juror was handed, saying, "Hey, this is why he's guilty, and this is you should give him a penalty based off these factors." Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the mitigating factors, he's actually giving, according to this article, 41 mitigating factors.
Okay.
41.
Oh boy.
So 7 aggravating factors and 41 mitigating.
Okay.
Nicholas Cruz, number 1. Nicholas Cruz is a human being.
That's an aggravating factor.
What about exactly.
Exactly.
What about the other human
Genesis
beings?
9:6.
Right. No, but seriously, that's like it is because he's a human being.
Made in the image of God.
Give him the dignity of responsibility for his actions.
Well, maybe we should have this guy go to abortion clinics and argue that in front of
Or sing hymns in front of the door.
Because that's actually a valid. Hey, you can't go in there and commit murder because they're human beings.
Right.
That's right.
Maybe we can get no death penalty for them if we do that.
No, the FBI's coming to your house. Yeah.
Number 2, Cruz has neurodevelopment disorder associated with prenatal alcohol exposure. And let me just read through these real quick so you kind of get the idea.
Wait. His mama was drinking, so that's the problem. I got it.
Cruz has alcohol-related neurodevelopment disorder. Cruz was not correctly diagnosed as a child and did not therefore receive appropriate interventions. Cruz was exposed to alcohol in utero. Cruz was exposed to drugs in utero. Cruz was exposed to nicotine in utero. So it kind of goes through.
Was he vaccinated?
That's probably
because this is pre-COVID.
Okay, yes, true.
Right,
true.
Parkland happened, I think, in 2018.
Oh man,
Cruz's birth mother did not obtain proper prenatal care. Cruz, here's one. Cruz was 19 years old at the time of the crime.
All right.
Huh.
Yeah.
How old were all? Remember, 17 people were murdered.
Yeah.
17. How old were the victims?
Yeah, they were probably younger than that.
Okay,
because they're at school. Their lives don't matter as much.
Cruz was raised by a single mother. That's facts.
I'm
not saying that. Cruz lived with a parent who abused alcohol. Cruz's mother was inconsistent with his medication regimen.
Oh, well, in that case, he was right for killing the 17.
Yeah.
Is there one thing yet that said, oh, yeah, well, in that case, yeah, I get it.
Here's a good one. Cruz was immature for his age. That's a mitigating factor.
You gotta stop and think for a second. I would rather the culture that says, my son, my kids are acting crazy, bring them to the civil magistrate and let's deal with them. Let's stone them if we need to be, because they're going to be versus this. Yeah. There is at least one carries a form of justice with it, where this right here, this is insane.
Yeah, this is. Number 35, Cruz exhibited appropriate courtroom behavior.
For 4 years, apparently.
I think this one, Cruz will be punished in prison and society will be protected. He will not be punished in prison. Prison is not a punishment.
No, this is actually...
It is not a justice.
No. This is what I was talking about earlier about the vigilante stuff. Those guys in prison have their own code, and he's gonna have to have as much protection in prison as he would have out on the street right now.
He'll get a special prison cell where he gets cable.
Because those guys are gonna say, you did what? Oh, no.
This one takes the cake. I think you're right, Knox. This one takes the cake. Cruz is loved by people who continue to be present in his life. What happened to the 17 kids? They aren't going to be loved by mom and dad.
So the fact that we had 9 jurors that said, yes, give him the death penalty. We had 3 who didn't.
Right.
Okay, I like the numbers, but I still have to say, we have to raise the kind of people where we don't have one person who doesn't understand the implications of this case.
Yeah.
We have
That's right, Knox.
We have to raise the kind of families that this is a no-brainer. Like, no, he took people's lives, and so because of that, God has told us to take his life. Otherwise, the blood that is spilled is crying out to God for justice. Yep. And now we have the judgment of God because we haven't dealt with this sin. Right. Do you understand how we get judgment in the land? This is how we get judgment.
Blood is spilled, and justice is not executed speedily.
I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, who was it? Achan? It was one man.
Yeah.
It was one man. We lost the battle because of one man.
Right.
Now we got 3. This is horrible.
And God judged his whole family.
And God judged the whole nation. We lost the whole war. People lost their lives because we didn't deal with that, right? Yeah. So this is a problem in our camp. And one of the ways we got to fight on the front end, which is, okay, that's bad laws. We got to figure out how to fix that. Right. But we also got to raise the kind of people that are in the courtroom and saying, no. Yeah. We're not doing this.
Yeah, we're bringing justice
to our land. We're bringing justice to our land.
Well, I liked what DeSantis said. I mean, back in the day, 6 months, he's guilty. Yeah. No, there's no funny business. Double check it, triple check it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Quadruple check it.
And then let's immediately
execute
do this.
Yeah. There's absolutely no reason for this to be drug out for 4 years.
Yep.
And then make excuses for him.
And so here's how crazy our society's getting. So that's crazy what just happened. But then they also list all his deficits or disorders or impairments.
Right.
Think like ADHD.
Right.
Developmentally delayed, severe phonological delay, memory defects, motor function delays, neurological impairments, social skill impairments, adaptive function. They kind of go on. Intellectual deficits.
Here's the thing. The biblical answer to this, of course, is that in the Bible, animals that kill human beings must be put to death.
That's right.
So regardless of his mental capacity, right? The Bible says that if you've taken a man's life, your life is forfeit. And I, let's say it's the worst possible situation, all kinds of impairments, all kinds of disorders, all kinds of disabilities. That person, though, nevertheless, who takes human life,
his life
is forfeit.
So we actually dug into the history books here and found that 1960s, West Side Story actually had some prophetic songs about this moment.
You punk! Dear kindly Sergeant Krupke, you gotta understand, it's just our bringing upkey that gets us out of hand. Our mothers all are junkies, our fathers all are drunks. Golly Moses, naturally we're punks.
Gee, Officer Krupke, we're very upset. We never had the love that every child ought to get. We ain't no delinquents, we're misunderstood. Deep down inside us there is good.
This whole scene almost explains everything that's going on. And it's not just, so they start first with Officer Krupke, the individual kind of the home, and then the interaction between the individual and the police. And the police then take them to the judge so the judge can diagnose what's really going on.
Mm-hmm. Dear kindly Judge, Your Honor, my parents treat me rough with all their marijuana. They won't give me a puff. They didn't want to have me, but somehow I was had. Leap on lizards, that's why I'm so bad.
Right, Officer Krupke, you're real square. This boy don't need a judge, he needs an analyst's care. It's just his neurosis that ought to be coined. He's psychologically disturbed.
I'm disturbed.
We're disturbed, we're the most disturbed, like we're psychologically disturbed.
Hey! In the opinion of this court, this child is depraved. Our county ain't had a normal home.
Hey, I'm depraved on account I'm deprived.
See, that's how we're actually functioning. It's not the sin.
Yeah.
No, it's not that we've fallen.
Disturbed.
He's disturbed on the count that he's been deprived, and he's depraved because he's been deprived. That's what the problem is. And so he needs a psychologist.
But he's basically good inside.
Yeah, he doesn't need the death penalty. Of course not.
This is what happens when there's no God in heaven. There's no ultimate standard.
Yep.
We don't understand that we're fallen, we're sinners in need of a savior. This is where we end up.
And we need to make sure we punish sin and crime the way we're supposed to.
That's right.
2 different civil offices for that. More CrossPolitic coming up next.
This is where Dave and I plan this year's company holidays.
Let's go through the list.
Easter,
Too religious.
St. Patrick's Day?
Too white.
Mother's Day.
Way too cisgendered.
All of your usual holidays have been canceled this year.
But we still have Karl Marx's birthday!
Need a real reason to party? Find a new job at redballoon.work.
Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
Welcome back to CrossPolitic. Not so long ago, the American dream was alive and well. Employees who worked hard were rewarded, and employers looked for people who could do the job, not for people who had the right political views. Redballoon.work is a job site designed to get us back to what made American businesses successful: free speech, hard work, and having fun. If you're a free speech employer who wants to hire employees who focus on their work and not identity politics, then post a job on redballoon.work. If you're an employee who's being censored at work or is being forced to comply with the current zeitgeist, post your resume on redballoon.work and look for a new job. Redballoon.work, the job site where free speech is still alive. Redballoon.work. You were there at our conference, and guess what they were giving out?
Balloons.
Red balloons that were popping throughout our talks.
It was we were sabotaged,
which was kind of cool though, because it reminded me that we were inundated with kids.
Yep,
that's right.
Well, some of those were adults. Popping balloons.
So I don't think people understand how much our military is in trouble.
And one more thing, Haley, I would emphasize is I think more broadly in terms of, soldiers coming from marginalized communities or, demographics that are not widely represented in the Army. That's part of why we've got to emphasize positive command climates and inclusion. We get criticized, frankly, sometimes for being woke. I'm not sure what woke means. I think woke means a lot of different things to different people. But first of all, I would say if woke means, we are not focused on war fighting, we are not focused on readiness, that doesn't reflect what I see at installations all around the country or overseas when I go and visit. But I think, we do have a wide range of soldiers in our Army, and we've got to make them all feel included. And that's why a lot of our diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are important.
So for those who aren't watching the TV,
that's
poor
woman.
Yeah, that's the United States Secretary of Army, Christine Wormuth.
With us today in the studio is Mr. Jassen Bluto, retired Air National Guard Security Forces commander and police detective from LA County, California. Knox, don't mess with him.
Wait,
Okay? Don't.
Oh man, don't steal that
mess
steak.
with him.
Don't be stealing that steak.
I put it back.
I saw what you did with those steaks.
So, I don't have it on me anymore.
Maybe a frisk later.
Rubber glove.
I know what the position is.
I'll take the steaks home with me and book them into evidence.
Jason is currently the owner and lead instructor of Blue Tactical, a leading edge firearms and use of force training company here in Moscow, Idaho. Jason, thanks for coming on CrossPolitic.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
So is the most important thing for readiness inclusion?
No, actually, and inclusion works against readiness.
Okay.
So I'll parse that out a little bit. So when she's talking about readiness, what she's talking about is the ability for the Army to project combat power, to execute the national defense and national security strategies.
Right.
And so to do that, you almost have to go back to, Forrest Gump, when Forrest gets on that Army bus and says, "Hi, I'm Forrest Gump." And he's like, "Nobody cares what your name is. You get on the bus." So, that would be an example of not being inclusive.
Very inclusive.
No.
Huh.
And they were doing DEI training.
Yeah. And it turns out that being part of a team like the military is, whether it's small units that work into the big picture within the Army, or the Army working with the Air Force or the Navy, a team atmosphere and the success of a team depends on them all working together and sacrificing for the mission, not worrying about what my feelings are at the moment and who's caving to whatever emotional experience I'm having at that time.
Part of what I've seen inside of Christianity, the thing that's been really interesting is that everybody's talking about being included and connected together. And so we need to make sure that people feel included and connected together. And it's always ticked me off because I'm like, wait a second. I got baptized so I can have the mark of inclusion. That was my inclusion into this. Was that I was baptized and I've been marked by that to be one of the Christian people that Christ has died for. What is that mark of inclusion for the military? What does that look like for them?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think an important point. So when you go into the military, you take the oath of your enlistment, the oath of office as an officer, and basically you swear to defend the Constitution of the United States. And we used to have a saying that we're here to defend democracy. We're not here to observe it. So you walk in the door and you give up the right to do whatever you want and the freedoms that a normal citizen enjoys to execute the mission of the country to defend liberty, other people's liberty in the Constitution. So nowhere in there should I be saying, well, I'm marginalized, and why is it the white people always got to sweep the floor? Right? Why is that? And and I've seen that too as a commander. The new guys, when they come in, they get all the crap duties that nobody wants. Right? You take out the trash, or you're the one that's cleaning the Humvee out. Yeah, and there's never even that. So in the newer troops, as I started working towards retirement, they would vocalize a little bit about it's demeaning. Why do I have to take the trash out? And it's demeaning. Right. And fortunately, we were part of a combat unit, so that got stuffed pretty quickly. Yeah, it's like shut up and take the trash out. So, no one cares.
But Jason, what you're saying though is in order to be successful, real readiness and be successful in the mission, it's actually about individuals surrendering their individuality to the mission, to the team. Yeah. And so and you need that in order to be combat effective.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be narcissistic and selfish. Right. It's all about, I was talking with Knox earlier about this, is what if soldiers started saying, I don't like getting up at 3 a.m. Yeah. I don't really feel like, rushing that machine gun nest and saving my squad.
Hurts against my culture.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So
right.
So really, it's really a trend in the culture that you're starting to see manifest in the military.
How much of this? I'm sorry.
No, I was just wondering. One of the things you talked about earlier is when you sign up for the military, you have sacrificed yourself for something else, for everybody else. Right. Is that something as a mentality that's just kind of gone from American culture, or is it gone from the principles inside of them? What's happened there?
Well, I think if you look at the current state of the military services, they're having a hard time recruiting. A lot of people are leaving, and it's because of guys like me. You sign up when you're 18 because you believe in this country, you believe in the mission, you believe that we're doing good overseas, and as that slowly erodes, and you don't believe that, the mission anymore is a good one or consistent with the Constitution or your values, guys like me start getting out. And what you're left with is the people that will take orders because they're given some kind of reward, whether it's college money or whether it's the Secretary of the Army there that will reward their emotional state because they want to be special.
But then that has an effect on battle, because if you got in to sacrifice yourself from others, if there's no reward in it and you can't get it, then dying for someone becomes very problematic.
Yes.
So Jason, do you think, I mean, there's all kinds of, there's always rumors of wars, saber rattling of various sorts. We've got the Russia-Ukraine thing going on right now. How
tension with China, Taiwan.
How battle ready are the U.S. forces, given this invasion of DEI ideologies and coddling soldiers?
Well, I think there is a remnant that's ready. You're going to have your guys that still stay in. I have lots of friends that stay in, and a lot of them are fighting the COVID, COVID vaccination mandates because they still believe in what they're doing, and they don't. Just to your point, they don't want to get out, because then what does that leave us with?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I think there is a state of readiness there. I think what also helps us is that we project a lot of power through remote control aircraft. So there's not a lot of sacrifice there. If you have to get in a Connex box in Nevada to fly a Predator and shoot people from Las Vegas. But I think it's going to diminish. The more that people are encouraged to be selfish, and the less they're encouraged to sacrifice. If you're not willing to sacrifice your emotional state or your victimhood, how ready will you be to sacrifice your life for the guy next to you?
Right.
Jason, when the forced vaccine thing started happening in the military, we had a lot of sympathy. We actually interviewed a colonel, we interviewed a lot of people, lawyers, all involved in fighting against the forced vaccine mandate. But one of the things that struck us through it all was, we're throwing down about the forced vaccine mandate, but why didn't all these guys who, see this tyranny not throw down about women in the military tyranny? We had a problem over here 20 years later, but we should have been standing up, speaking out about women in the military a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think it's the boiling frog, I think feminism is just so permeated our culture that nobody even considers that anymore. Think about this bill that's going forward now that women are going to be part of the draft.
Right.
Yep.
I don't hear anybody in my military groups talking about how offensive that is, or that they don't want to offer up their daughters to the draft. It's almost non-existent.
I heard that there might be an adjustment where they actually might take the forced draft from women, but keep it for tranny women, men who are women in the military.
Yeah, that's
forced draft women still, but if you're tranny, it's forced draft.
Well, nothing instills fear in the enemy like a transvestite.
Like a man dressed in makeup wearing a dress.
I'm afraid. So Jason, if our military, I'm still want to believe that they can still see objectively, right? So then when they see, as far as being combat ready, and they see women and they know they're not performing in the same manner, they can see that all the facts are there. I watched the panel where they had they had pastors, they had women in the military who were against this draft and against women in fighting in the battle. And so all the facts are there. They know all the facts, and they know that they don't present a ready military. Why would they still push that in, knowing that it doesn't make them more deadly, actually less deadly? And all the guys know, man, she's not going to be able to carry me, right? She's not going to be able to hold up at the end of the day.
And a lot of the women know that.
Yeah, that's right. So why did it?
Yeah, so the root of the problem is unprincipled men that are wearing stars on their uniforms at this point. One of the biggest wake-up calls I had was my time in D.C. for 4 years working for the chief for the Air National Guard and a lot of high-ranking senior officers. And what you start to notice is this swamp that Donald Trump would talk about, where you have a lot of civilians inside the Department of Defense. And the military, the officers come and go in some of these assignments, but the civilians stay. And so the politicians and the civilians that all live in D.C., which was majority of liberals, kind of run the government. And so if you're an unprincipled officer and you want to make rank, you want to make colonel, you want to make 1-star, 4-star, then you're going to cave to politicians. You're not going to hold to any principles. And so these guys, it's the same thing with the vaccine. They can the senior leaders and the generals could see what's going on. But again, just like these new troops are worried about themselves and being selfish, and are they being included? The generals are doing the same thing. They're worrying about themselves. So I think at the center of all this is selfishness.
Wow. Yeah, which go back to the point. I mean, if you want to be combat ready, you have to be selfless.
Right.
You have to give up yourself, and for the mission, for the cause, for what is true.
So I think we need to go on backstage for this next angle here, but I want to talk about what is right insubordination. What is insubordination is a problem in the military, and I think it should be punished. But what is a legal way of being properly insubordinate, like forced vaccine, stuff like that?
Okay, we can talk about that.
Also, I want to complain about the new Top Gun.
Oh, okay.
I finally saw it.
Okay, I want to talk about that too. I absolutely want to talk about that. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
But before we go, really quick, what is there anything that we can do currently that can head off where we're going right now with the lack of readiness in our military? What would you suggest?
Boy, that's a great question. I get a lot of people come to me, or they send young men to me when they're thinking about going to the military, and they're like, "Hey, Jason, have lunch with this guy," and I'll sit there and I'll give it to them straight. And some continue to go in, some don't. But it's really a struggle right now to answer the question of what's worth dying for anymore. Would you want to go to Ukraine right now to fight for Ukraine against Russia? I think there's some real questions there. I'm thankful that we're not, but I think what some guys are doing, being faithful, staying in the military, fighting the vaccination mandates, are the types of things that we need to do. Is those continue to stand up, and then hopes that we get a change in the White House, and that they truly change some cabinet positions that make a change in the military. So I always hate to say that go to politicians are where our hope is for these kind of things, but I think that would go a long way. So if Trump would have done what everybody was fearful of and actually cleaned out the swamp, I think we'd be in a far better position. But some of these senior leaders that are worried more about themselves and their stars need to go, and more principled men need to be installed in those positions.
Always comes back to the home and making principled men. Yeah. All right. Stick around, Jason. We're going to talk with you more. Talking about Top Gun and all kinds of other stuff. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the backstage. Yeah. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is CrossPolitic.
Meet Big Ed. He has a tax-funded taste for children. Big Ed knows that the best grooming starts early. He has a plan for your preschoolers, a plan to gender confuse your grade schoolers. But if you think his grooming stops there, you have not been paying attention. Big Ed wants to liberate your daughters from old-fashioned ideas like, well, you already know. Big Ed has dorm rooms ready for you in prison buildings of learning, and professors standing by dedicated to grooming young adults in doubt and unbelief. After all, he is the gatekeeper of this brave new world, and if you want a job, you'll need to pay him with years of your life for a permission slip. Yeah, whatever. You think David paid Goliath for a certificate in giant management before those two squared off? Did Luther major in theses? Was George Washington summa cum laude in empire repellents, while Jefferson focused on ag with a minor in declarations? When the world needs saving, meaningful vocations abound for those who are truly prepared. And the truth is, despite Marxist advances, this is still America, and Big Ed is still a voluntary opt-in. So don't. Not at any level. Not preschool, not middle school, not college. It isn't complicated. When Big Ed offers you free candy, Stay away. You'll thank us later. We know it's crazy, but run with us here. Men and women were created in the image of God. You don't need a government certificate of faux learning for personal validation or permission to work. You were born with divine permission to pursue knowledge and understanding, truth, goodness, and beauty. And at New St. Andrews College, we are committed to helping students do just that, to their fullest potential. In an age dominated by chaos, when learning is on a choke leash controlled by Big Ed and his many strange friends, ours is an education for outlaws, an education for men and women committed to building a beautiful and free society in the ruins of the Western world. When thinking is outlawed, only outlaws will think. Yes, Big Ed hates what we do, but his hatred brings us joy. New St. Andrews College. Liberal arts for outlaws. Mind, body, and soul.